All right, folks, we have Sebastian Thomas and Jaden House. One quick note for you, the free throws that we made tonight were the most since November 19th, 2006, when Rhode Island had 37 against Centenary. So I don't know if you guys noticed, there were a lot of free throws tonight. So, we'll open right up to questions.
Sebastian, big homecoming for you. Your first time back in the Ryan Center since coming back from Albany, 18.7 assists. I mean, just how were you feeling out there tonight?
I felt good. I was excited to get out there with the team. Excited to come back. Had a bunch of people come, so it was just an exciting game for me, and I'm glad I played well.
Sebastian, what's the biggest change in you as a basketball player in person since you were last here?
Confidence for sure. Like I feel like that year at Albany helped me become a better person, a better basketball player. But basketball-wise, I'm just more confident in my game now. I feel like coach trusts me a little bit more, and my teammates trust me. So that's the difference.
Jaden, off the bench for the first time in your Rhode Island career, still put up 16 points, 4 for 6. I mean, how were you able to adjust to that?
It wasn't no difference for real. Like I feel like I still got the same amount of opportunities, still got the same amount of same shots that I always take, and it was just you gotta adjust to it and just play the right way all the time.
Sebastian, how different is this team from URI teams of the past that you've played with since you've left here?
It's huge different. Brought in a lot of good pieces. I think the main thing with this team is we have a lot of depth at every position. So when we substitute guys in and guys out, there's no really drop off in terms of the player that's coming in or coming out. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Sebastian, during media day the other day, you talked a lot about the communication on defense that you guys have had. It was clear tonight that was a plus for you guys, but how did it feel to actually do that in a game environment?
I mean, it's difficult because doing it in practice, we kind of know players' tendencies, know how we're going to play on offense. So playing against a new team who we don't know what they're going to do in transition or on offense, it's hard, but I feel like we communicated pretty well. We had a couple minutes in the game where they scored in transition, but we got to just correct it, get better every day. So.
Jaden, last year was obviously a struggle on defense. As a team, just preseason, how much the emphasis was on getting better at that end of the floor?
That's all the emphasis was on. To be honest, I mean, we got talented players on the other end, but the focal point was making sure that we not making the same mistakes as last year. We started in May. As soon as the season was over, that was the biggest emphasis. So it showed out there tonight.
To either of you, Bassy, you experienced it your first 2 years in Kingston, and Jaden last year. Free throw shooting has been a bit of an Achilles heel for the Rams over the past few seasons, and I mean, tonight shooting 82%, because consistently getting to the line and knocking them down. Is there an emphasis in the offseason, or kind of what clicked to let that happen?
No, coach makes us practice free throws every day, like 50 free throws. So I think he showed us a stat last week. I think we shot about 1,500 free throws so far. But even in our offense, we get downhill, we get to the line, we got good guards, big post players that draw fouls. So I think that's going to be a big emphasis for us this year, getting a lot of points from the line. So,
Sebastian, how did it feel walking out there after being announced? Was there a thought in your head, or was it just all happening? Or how'd you feel when you heard your name? You're in the Ryan Center, you got family here, you're back here. What were you thinking?
I was kind of in my own zone, but when they called my name, I definitely heard a loud cheer. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was just a good feeling.
Any final questions for the guys?
Yeah, Jaden, what did you learn from tonight? What did the team learn? What's your takeaway? First real, I mean, you had 4 exhibition games. This one counted. You guys did a lot of stuff out there,
Not to get complacent, don't just, it was a couple of stretches in the game where we, slowed down a little bit, took our foot off the pedal, and we just got to make
There's
sure.
a little bit at the end of the first half.
Yeah, so just making sure that we, keep pushing the whole game, make sure we playing the right way the whole game.
Where'd that come from? Internally, the coaches, the teammates? How did you catch yourself and say, hey, we gotta pick it up?
Everybody, we was talking about that in the last couple of exhibitions that we played, and and when the stretches happened during the game today, we just all came together and said we got to buckle down.
All right.
Great, thank you.
We'll let them go. We'll get coaching.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, good job.
Show us. Wow. I love it. $1 substitute.
All right,
All right.
folks. Strong opener tonight. Both of
Yeah,
them.
just pleased, obviously, when, the season gets rolling around and you get to this opening night, it's the hardest game. You get the most jitters and nerves, and you're always just unsure because your opponent, you don't really know what they're gonna do, et cetera. And, really pleased with our guys being able to get the win, number one. Thought we had a lot of guys contribute, and we also did some things in the game, I think that, translate well as we keep going if we have it. We weren't perfect by any stretch, and I thought the game was really hard to play in with the amount of fouls that were called. But our team shooting 41 free throws and making 34, something we've talked about all off season, and it's something that we've talked about all leading into this, about being able to dominate the free throw line, about being able to go up with confidence and make them. And last year, I think we were a top 20 free throw rate team in getting to the line, and I think we were almost dead last in free throw percentage. It's a big, big reason why things felt funny for us as a team last year. Offensive possessions that end at the free throw line are typically good unless you miss both. So I think one positive thing is the confidence level and the belief in our team of, number one, being able to draw fouls, but two, going to the line and taking advantage of the opportunities and getting the points. That was a big deal in this game. I'd share it across the board. We had a lot of guys step up and play well. I thought Jamarcus really had a tough night, just being able to play through a couple of those fouls and whatnot. He was very uncharacteristic, but a lot of other guys stepped up, and I think that's the truest team element that we have right now. Building depth, having guys come in the game that are equally as good, if not more potent at times, and there's no real let up. And that's the hope of our team, is to develop, a group of players that obviously, on any given night, they have a lot of different weapons. And I think we showed that tonight. So we'll look at the film, we'll break it down, and then we're gonna learn from it and just move on to game 2 now. But getting the first one out of the way was great.
Questions?
Coach, could you talk about Tyone got the start tonight, 14 points, 5 for 8 in his first career game?
Yeah, Tyone has started for us since day one. He started against UConn. He started in a close scrimmage, and he earned the right to be able to start again tonight. And had 7 defensive rebounds, which was really good. We got to get him doing a little bit more on the offensive glass. He's bigger, and he gives us a bigger body at the 3 position, which we like. And he's earned that right through practice. And I'm not saying things will always stay the same with our team, but we have a team that if you don't do what you need to do on a daily basis, you get behind. There's other guys that want minutes, and I think Quentin is probably another guy that right now he's a little bit maybe the odd man out, but he very quickly could be right in the rotation or in the mix very fast. And we have to work to keep his confidence up too, because I feel like he's going to be able to help us as we keep climbing the ladder. He's physical, he's strong, he's just not in the same rhythm as those other guys. But Tyone is a good player. He's only going to get better, and I think as his career evolves, being able to start as a freshman, whether that's right or wrong or whatever, he's going to help the team as a freshman. He's going to impact this team as a freshman.
Kind of talked about the competitiveness in the group and the depth that you have that really kind of shined tonight. How does that depth shape up against the team last year, and what maybe do you address in the offseason to help that?
You know, I think the way we've done things in the past and when we're successful, the daily approach is what wins. And if you have guys that are everyday guys, they work, they're coachable, they get better, and your team has a bond because they do it together every day. When you don't have that environment, or you don't have the ability to hold your guys accountable, because maybe one guy's just so talented, he doesn't have to try every once in a while. As a coach, sometimes you're held back by being able to reward guys because they're not quite good enough. That's not the case with this team. That's a big deal. And when you say addressing it in the offseason or whatever you want to say, this team has been specifically assembled in a certain way, and it's to be able to provide instant depth, and it's to be able to have quality practice environment every day where if you don't show up, you're not going to get rewarded. That's when teams can really evolve and be good. There's a competitiveness there, there's a confidence there. And you know what we've seen with our group here early is what we see every day. We got to get a lot better, and we got to keep developing. I'm not saying by any stretch that we have finished product, but that environment, that competitiveness, the environment that these guys have to be able to perform on a daily basis is way more important than what happens out there.
Archie, with Sebastian coming back, obviously in this era of NIL, transfer portal, you're going to see probably more situations like that, but it's not a given. You let him come back here.
I didn't let him come back. I wanted him back.
Excuse me, you earned it. What can you speak of what he was able
First
to
and
do?
foremost, Sebastian is a self-made player at this point in time. No coach should, sit there and take credit for him. Where he was at 2 years ago when I met him to where he was at when he decided, obviously, to make a change, he wasn't the same person. And he's probably like a lot of throwback guys that everyone remembers them as young players, and then as older, they just mature, they get older. But he went out, he bet on himself. He played ferociously last year to prove himself. And he came back confident, hardened, older. And the bottom line with him is there isn't very much that you could say to him to bother him. There isn't very much that you can do to bother him. And at this point in time, he deserves a ton of credit for his, not only the maturity of getting better, but going out there and earning things. And he went out there and he performed, and we were very fortunate to have the opportunity to get him back because he's a very, very good player. And at this stage, he is a grown-up, he's the key to the car. He holds the keys to the car, and he does a great job with it.
Archie, Jaden started every game last year. Even if it's for one game this year, how do you approach with a player maybe a potential change in role like that?
There's a couple ways of doing it. Number one, you really have to paint that picture on an everyday basis that guys on our team are all aware that they all want to play. And everybody there wants. But when you have to be able to serve it up and earn it every single day, do it every single day. When you don't feel good, some days are good, some days are bad, but you got to perform every day to be able to get what you want out of it. And I think in Jaden's case, he's a better player right now than he was a year ago, but he can be a much better player moving forward if he does a little better job in a couple areas for us. And I think, our team in general understands that you're not really safe if you're not getting the job done every day. And, I talked to him. I think he could be first team all conference coming off the bench. I think that our team in general, as we substitute and we look at different lineups, could be maybe stronger when we come off the bench with some of our front court guys combined with a couple offensive minded guards that have experience and play. And I'm not so sure it doesn't look really good for us as we sub and the other team has to look down there and see certain guys coming in the game. We have that opportunity. Now, it's not going to stay the same maybe it will, but he's got to show right now, and all of our guys do, not just him, a shift in his mindset of what he really wants. Does he want to be a guy that scores some points and plays on a half-assed team, or does he want to be a guy that competes and impacts a team that has really meaningful games here down the home stretch of his college career? And if he embraces that and he wants to be a part of that, then he's got to trust. And I think if he trusts what we're doing as a staff with him, he'll flourish. I don't think if anybody watched the game tonight, you saw him look very different than he normally does. He had 25 minutes, he had 16 points, and he did his thing, you know, and we didn't have to start to do that. And I think a lot of guys nowadays, they get caught up in that, they get bothered by it, and I'm glad that he didn't. It's up to him to be able to regain that spot if he wants. I don't necessarily think there's a lot of guys wanting to give any spots up, so that's where the competition thing kind of comes in.
Coach, defense really seemed to step up tonight, clogging the paint, forcing Fairfield to really take a lot of shots on the perimeter, forcing them to just 4 for 29 on the night. From your position, what you were seeing during the game, what went well to allow that to happen?
You know, I thought guys, you know, from a scheme perspective, you know, we had them taking the shots that we kind of wanted to. You know, we wanted to force some tougher twos, but we knew they shoot a lot of threes. Our biggest concern to start the game was the long rebounding, our guards not blocking out, and them making the game feel funny. And I thought we did a pretty good job of that in the first half of defensive rebounding. Start the second half is what I was worried about when they started to get some offensive rebounds. But we have to look at it. You know, just looking at the stat sheet for us, and I see 1 steal and 4 block shots, and I'm going to say we didn't play hard enough. Now, I don't know about all the percentages. I know a lot of people are going to say he won by whatever. But I look at the stat sheet, and we'll watch the film, but I see 1 steal, 4 block shots. That's not a whole lot of deflections, activity. You know, maybe they were a little too comfortable, but, you know, from a field goal percentage defensive standpoint, they only shot 27%, so we did something pretty good.
So Coach, what tonight went better than expected, and you may have just touched on it, what didn't go as well as hoped?
I didn't think we moved the ball at all offensively, and I think Fairfield may have had a lot to do with that, with their style. You know, we really talk a lot about assist and assist rate right now with our team. I'm pleased with 11 turnovers. We had 14 assists on 28 field goals, which is about half our baskets. We need way more assisted baskets. And I think if we watch this game and we start to look at what we were doing, we had way too much over dribbling. We didn't pick on some of the concepts that we normally do. And we have to get better at that. But this team has got enough weapons that if we embrace sharing it, we embrace moving it, if we embrace giving the, you know, our offense a chance to really, really, you know, work well, then we have to move the ball better. And a lot of it may be, hey, you see a different defense than you haven't seen in the past, and it's early in the year here, and you're getting bogged down with some pressure. But we didn't, in my opinion, move it freely enough. But we also, for whatever reason or however it worked, shot 41 foul shots. So, you know, at the end of the day, we got to the line, which is probably a good thing.
Can Sebastian play 40 minutes?
Yeah, no doubt. He could probably play 80. He's just
it
one.
seemed to be a difference you're talking about. The offense got a little stagnant when he wasn't in.
Yeah, and the other part of it was Jamarcus was in foul trouble. So, you know, I think, you know, Jamarcus' normal routine and obviously normal role. Sebastian has the opportunity to take some more opportunities for breaks. But when you pick up 2 as early as he did, we chose not to play him in the first half, which put Bassie in a lot of ball in the second half. Jamarcus gets 2 more quick. So really at the end of the day, Bassie probably played, you know, what he normally would play, but, you know, probably could have played a little less in a game like this, and Jamarcus would have played a lot more. But you're right, the ball handling, taking the ball out of our point guard's hands, our other guys got to be a little smoother with that.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Yep. We'll see you guys down the road here, huh, Friday? Is that right?